Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it and we'll talk about it inside. Hey scrappers, Tom here from the iScrap app and Rockaway Recycling. It is Wednesday, December 3rd, and we are also streaming on Instagram Live for the first time today. So those of you that are joining us there, welcome to our weekly report.
Quick shout outs to start, actually.
Yeah, we got shout outs.
3 people.
Who we got? See you scrapping. Hey, how you doing, frozen Central Illinois? I hear it's very cold out there. John Wolf, another Central Indiana, nice and cold out there. Nice to see you on here. And Blue Jay, hey, nice to see you from Eastern Ontario. Sorry about the World Series. So here we are, first week of December, and what a banger of a week that it is. Before we get into what's going on with some of the all-time high copper prices, we hope that many of you had a very happy Thanksgiving. If you haven't checked out some of our YouTube videos, if you haven't checked out some of our member-only sections, we have lots of videos on YouTube, both public ones and private ones for YouTube members only that we have coming out. In fact, tomorrow we'll be filming another hour and a half of videos to come out in the coming weeks and months. But check out our videos on YouTube. They show you how to make more money with your scrap. I'm not just here to give you market news. I'm also here to teach you how to upgrade your material, where you should spend your time, in my opinion, where you shouldn't spend your time, in your opinion. Again, I use the words "in my opinion" so people can't go out there and say, Tom, you're wrong. So however you make your money on scrap, we're happy to help you in any way, shape, or form. So what is going on in the markets right now? Because I will just lead with the headline of international copper prices hit all-time record highs today. And then they hit them again today. And then they hit them 2 more times after that. And we see copper prices today up 20 cents per pound on a trading level. Tom, that's so great. I'm going to sell my copper. You should. You should 100% go sell your copper. And if for some reason you're not selling your copper, please comment and let me know why you're holding it, because I'm seeing prices that don't make sense. I talked to 4 different people, not the week of Thanksgiving, but the week before, after we did our report. All 4 of them were holding at least 20 to 40 loads of copper, not just bare bright, but electric motors, insulated copper wire, large scrapping facilities, right? 4 out of 4 told me they liquidated and sold all of their inventory before December hit. And that's when copper prices were trading 40 cents cheaper than they are. Everyone told me they expected copper to drop to between, and it was so crazy because I talked to everyone was in different areas of the country. The three were East Coast, but not just like New Jersey based. They said, we see copper trading between 440 and 470 on a trading level. And at that time, it was $5 a pound. Today, we're trading at $5.40. Why are we trading at $5.40? Well, the math doesn't make sense because I sell copper to a mill, and the mill has so many appointments already booked through December, booked into January. And what's crazy to me is that they told me that their demand isn't nearly to the level that the prices are dictating. So why are prices going this high? Traders are really the key reason. And then you could probably throw in a little tariff speculation in there. People may be trying to sell stuff before tariff hits. There's an article that we talked about, and I'll just briefly mention it. This is from Bloomberg. Import rush to the United States instead of a potential 2027 tariffs could redirect over 500,000 tons of copper into the United States in early 2026, straining availability elsewhere, and that means elsewhere in the world. But that's not now, and that's, that still means that there's going to be more copper coming into the country ahead of tariffs. If tariffs hit, right, and this is a if, because what we're looking at now in June, the Supreme Court is going to rule on the legality of the tariffs that are in place. Now, if the tariffs stay in place, we could see copper going to $6, possibly $7 within 2 years if these tariffs stay in place. I mean, it almost sounds crazy to say out loud, but these are real things. And if you have any questions, if you have any opinions on the copper, comment, and I'd love to answer them. Don't worry about interrupting me. I talk a lot often, so I can always pick right back up. So when I look at the copper demand going into Thanksgiving, I liquidated my warehouse. We sold every single bit of copper that we had, except for the 2-3 days that we were open before Thanksgiving. We got rid of everything. I was happy. I took out some early purchase orders for the first week of December, assuming that we were going to see markets going down. And then Black Friday hit right after Thanksgiving. You know, I'm sitting there. I forget what is the tremezone or something from Turkey that hits you, and you're supposed to be tired, right? So here I am. I'm thinking I'm going to be, tired Black Friday. I look at copper prices. They're up 15, 20 cents. I didn't expect to be doing anything, but I sold some copper, right? Because they were up 15, 20 cents. Then on Monday, they were up again. And then Tuesday, they're up a little bit. And this morning, they started up 11 cents. And now they're up over 20 cents per pound. And when I talked to people this morning on my drive to work and through emails, I just asked why. And everyone keeps going back to I don't know, it doesn't make sense. So if you're going to ask us, Tom, should we sell our copper right now? Sure, absolutely you should sell your copper. I mean, I'm selling mine. I'm not holding on to anything. And I talked to 4 guys that had hundreds of thousands of pounds of copper each, and they sold everything. So I don't know why it's happening other than a trading type of thing. It does worry me slightly because it went up so fast in a matter of days. 40 cents going up. You're talking about a 5% increase in the last few days with no demand going into the winter, going into a slower season, going into the holidays. And it's important to note that the holidays are not just US-based holidays, which could sometimes affect things. We're talking about worldwide holidays, right? Whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or New Year's or Chinese New Year's coming up. And, these are all things that are going to affect worldwide markets. And Diwali, right? All these things. So you have international slowdowns on a business front. So why are we seeing increased demand? I don't know. But at my scrapyard, we raised our Bear Bright this morning by 20 cents. We're paying $4.40 per pound. And if the prices hold, we're going to go up again. And if you're looking to take a ride, Rockaway Recycling, 311 West Main Street, Rockaway, New Jersey. Love to buy your copper. And if I'm here, I'd love to give you some iScrap or Rockaway swag. I don't know what's going on, but sometimes you don't need to, and you just take advantage of it. So those of you that may be holding on to copper, cash it in. I wish I didn't sell anything from 3 weeks ago, but if the people that I talked to were right and the markets went down 50 cents, I'd be sitting here patting myself on the back thinking I'm some type of a prophet that can see these things in the future. I don't think so. I was exactly opposite. And as were all the other guys that I spoke to, no one is holding because prices are so high and it's year-end kind of liquidation of supply to get ready for a new year. So on copper side of things, little things that could contribute. Oil and gas prices are at 4 or 5 year lows. That's really great. I heard the U.S. average for gas, regular gas, is under $3 for the first time in over 4 years. So transportation costs will start to go down as they have the last, the third and fourth quarter of this year. But generally going into the holidays, you don't see a run up. You normally see a stabilization or a slow trickle down. So this is really spurred by some trading activity, and having so much copper coming into this country, as the administration talks about, kind of critical minerals and national safety. That's one of the reasons that we've seen this run up. But hey, if your scrapyard hasn't raised their copper prices, hold them accountable or drive out to New Jersey and we'll make sure to pay you what you need to get paid. Any questions, Virginia? No? So let's jump to question. Sure. John Wolf, have you raised your compressor prices? I have a bunch and trying to figure, I'd want to break them down for the copper. Our compressor prices have gone up a couple of cents a pound. They're not really an item that we push heavily for, nor do we take them apart. Those are more of an export item as they don't really get refined or broken down domestically in the US. So it still costs money to bring them overseas, whether it's to China or India primarily. So I haven't raised them, but I will look at them, and I don't break them down ever. So I don't have that extra bit there. So let's switch to another topic, and that's catalytic converters. Now, everyone knows rrcats.com holds prices for 10 days. And I just want to talk about this real quick because it was really interesting. This was from investing.com. And if you haven't read the weekly report, not only do we do these videos, we also have the weekly report that we write and talk about other topics and include some articles that we reference in these reports. So the article headline is, why have silver, platinum, and palladium rallied so much in 2025? Now, silver up 66% year to date. Platinum up 65% year to date, and palladium up 50% year to date. And I'll just read this first paragraph, and it says silver, platinum, palladium have posted year to date gains of 65, 60, and 50%. A surge driven primarily by investor flows. Important words there, investor flows, not supply demands. They've been driven by investor flows, thin London inventories, and uncertainty around U.S. trade policy, according to a recent note by Goldman Sachs. So when I see these things, some of these are speculative, right? Some of these are riding the back of the gold prices going up, but we haven't seen a lack of material when it comes to the auto industry putting these things into catalytic converters. One thing that the article did talk about, and they tried to make a little sense of it, but it confused them, was platinum. The Chinese platinum jewelry demand is down compared to the last 3 years. And that is really the factor that they're looking at. Okay, cars are being sold, electric vehicles, of course, will take away some market share from the gas combustible engine type of things, the ICE engines, I believe they're called. But where is this flow and where is the money going? They don't have real answers for that. And because of that, you've seen another investor demand fueling some of these price increases. Now, we'll take it, right? As buyers of catalytic converters, you as sellers of catalytic converters, you make more money, right? That's a win. But why? So there's no whys, and it's similar to what I just talked about with copper. There's not a real demand flow. It's more of a trader flow. And that really messes with scrap yards at the base level. Because as many of you may think, oh, you guys may manipulate prices, we're generally selling, if there's 10,000 yards in the country, right? 8 or 9,000 of those are my size. And they may be part of a larger corporate structure where they have tiers and they combine and sell to mills in larger volumes. But even if 7,000 of those are just a basic yard, right? We don't have control the way that traders have control, because traders can control and trade contracts. They can control contracts and trade 10 contracts of 44,000 pounds of copper. And instead of physically having the inventory, they can almost do these stock trades. And it really is messing with different flows. Now, people have poured money into gold as they've looked for a safer investment, as people are scared about the value of the US dollar. People have poured money into silver and platinum for the same reasons. So, we need these precious metals in the country. We need them for circuit boards, for chip making and other things. But right now it's more of a safe play and a little uncertainty around tariffs. If you told me this time next December that markets were down 20%, I wouldn't be shocked because of the inflated values we've seen in 2025. Because if you look back in 2024, when I did some of my market predictions, they didn't have these large price hikes that we've seen. In the coming weeks, as I start to do my 2025 recap and 2026 previews, you'll hear and see some of the things that I'm thinking about the markets and where they're going to go next year. But what I've learned is these tariffs and trade talks have produced uncertainty in the markets, which has made it a little difficult to work with when you're coming and trying to sell at the right time. So we're watching markets closely, and hopefully you turn into these videos will help. And if you want more market advice, our YouTube members get extra market advice from us. And there are videos that we don't release to them and then to you. There's some that only the YouTube members get. So not only do they get early access to our videos, they get member only videos that help them make money on their scrap, give them different perspectives. And if you're looking to learn more about it and become a more serious scrapper, please check that out. Now, on a steel side of things, I mentioned earlier, oil and gas prices are down. That's a win. Transport costs are down, refining costs are down, right? But there's still a gluttony of material available. I talked to a steel mill in New Jersey a few weeks ago, and they're booked into January with their steel orders. If they're booked into January, and that was in November, right? That means that they're going to start booking into February now. And normally they shut down to do some work on their equipment, but the demand hasn't been there and the prices reflect it. And in my opinion, the copper prices should be more aligned with the steel growth or lack of growth, but copper's become such a sexy tradable item, electricity, generation of power, you need these for lines, AI, server buildings, etc. But we're not seeing the industrial demand that we've seen in the past, which makes it a little difficult to justify the copper price hikes. So when I look at steel, steel to me makes more sense on how it's traded this year. Would I like the steel prices up? Naturally, the answer is yes on that. You know, I look at steel prices week over week, down 0.2%. I mean, we're trading relatively flat. I got some new numbers yesterday from one of the guys that I sell steel to. They increased their prices by $10 a ton, but we're talking $10 on $200 a ton. You know, that's a 4%, 5% increase. Nothing that really, you know, gets you out of bed and says, oh, I got to sell this pile of steel. I've also mentioned in the last few weeks that I know a few guys that are sitting on thousands of tons of steel waiting for market prices to double in the coming years. Could it? Absolutely, it could. But it could also stay at the levels that we're at, because I do think that we've reached a floor. So if you're going to say, Tom, I've been holding on to my rotors, my steel, do you think the markets are going down more? No. I think that what we've seen the last 6 months is a very stable market. Oil and gas prices have been down, and we've started to see the policies kicking in of the current administration. And then going into next year, you're going to see, I think they call it the big beautiful bill, which is going to change some of the tax laws, some of the depreciation, some of the write-offs, some of the individual income tax savings. So things are going to start to affect the market. We may see steel jump up. But if you're getting between 90 and $150 for light iron and tread, that's probably right on par where it is, because we just don't see large increases. We've been at Rockaway Recycling at $100 a ton probably for 3 months now. And we're not a steel yard. Many of you know that. So don't say, oh, Tom, your prices are so cheap. I'm not a steel yard. We're not processing. We're not shredding. So, you know, I don't group myself into that category. But we do buy a lot of steel, and, you know, we haven't seen large demands or steel prices going out there. Any other questions, Virginia? Okay. If you have questions, you're welcome to ask. Other markets, aluminum, flat. But aluminum in 2025 had a great run, and we'll talk about that in the coming weeks for our yearly recaps. Catalytic converters, lead relatively flat. Lead acid battery prices continuing to be in the 18 to 25 cent range. Not a lot of movement on those, so watch out on there. If you're holding batteries, I suggest not holding batteries. I suggest getting them out, because it's like stainless steel, which we could talk about briefly, which has not been a real sexy metal in any way, shape, or form. We're not seeing movement. You know, stainless steel has only gone down. Nickel prices have only gone down in 2025. There's been no upward trajectory. Those Tesla Cybertrucks must need, you know, even more stainless and more demand for any type of a life out there for stainless. But we're not seeing it, and it's reflected in the prices, and we're just not seeing any type of price increases right now. So, you know, stainless steel prices relatively flatlined. If you're getting between 25 and 35 cents for 304 stainless, that's probably a good number. So scrappers, we have 2 or 3 more live sessions this year for 2025. Next week will be pre-recorded recorded because I have a meeting in the afternoon, but we got a couple more after that. Then we have a couple of 2025 recaps and 2026 previews. If there's anything that you want us to talk about, videos you want us to make, topics you want us to discuss during live or in our other YouTube videos, let us know. Don't forget to report your prices that you're selling on your scrap, because that's how you're going to be able to help the community, how you're going to be able to help learn where the markets are. And that's where we pull a lot of our data from to show you what's going on inside the scrap metal markets from your perspective, not from a trading point of view. My name is Tom Buchel from Rockaway Recycling and the iScrap app. We appreciate you tuning in both on Instagram, YouTube, and all of the platforms that we post from. Hopefully you like this. Don't forget to check out and sign up for our weekly report that we send out as well. Until next week, scrappers, I'll scrap you later.